Hey there, it's Coach Curl here, and welcome to Monday Mentoring. Of course, we're on the Today's Leader podcast. We're building tomorrow's best leaders today. Now, on our last episode, we had this great panel discussion on the wellness of a leader and how it actually impacts the culture of the organization. It was a truly great episode. And it was one that I want you to ensure that you take in all the gold that came from that discussion. Now, on the podcast, we had Cindy Corey, we had Erin, Jewell, Gerst, and we had, of course, Belinda Jane Dolan, some global experts around culture in for organizations. And they really provided an amazing insight into the area overall and what you can be doing as a leader to look after yourself and to help look after the organizational culture. Now, of course, I'll have the link to that episode in the show notes. Now, this morning, I want to pick up on the concept of peak performance, which is one of the key areas that Belinda spoke to during the show. And I want to start with a question. What do you think when you hear the words peak performance? Now, you might think of Olympians, you might think of gold medalists, you might think of elite sports people. You might think about having access to the latest sports science, the latest brains trust around technology. You may even think about having a great level of brains behind you to help you deliver your peak performance. Having teams of coaches, having experts surrounding you. And, you know, that's a common perception that peak performance is delivered by people and teams and having the latest and the greatest all around you. But fundamentally, what we have nowadays with the internet is that we've got access to all this all around us anyway. So what do you really think of when you hear the words peak performance? Is it something that you believe is beyond yourself? That's a good place to start for this Monday mentoring. So what isn't peak performance is really clear. It's allowing. So what peak performance isn't? It's when we allow life to happen to us, when we drift along, when we accept the things that are happening to us with resignation that we can't necessarily change too much around ourselves and the world. Peak performance doesn't happen to people that just drift along. And one of the key things that I know is that people that listen to this podcast aren't drifters. But peak performance certainly isn't drifting. But what is important in developing peak performance, especially for an individual, is really clear. And there's 5 main things that I really just want to briefly touch on that I want you to think about this week as we branch into the world of peak performance. Now, the first is to have a growth mindset. Now, having a growth mindset, you have a belief that you can develop the skills that you need to be successful. You have a belief that you have the capacity to develop the skills you need. Number 2 is you're a positive thinker. Now, that's not the ability to look at the world with rose-colored glasses at all times. Sometimes we have shit days, we have shit weeks. But it's about finding what it is that you need from every particular situation. We all face shit situations, but it's finding that silver lining. It's finding that glimmer of hope that keeps us driving forward. Number 3, regular exercise and good sleeping habits. I'm coming to you a little bit earlier today on Monday than I normally would. I've just finished my morning walk. I've got a really full day ahead. But it's important that we do regular exercise and we get into good sleeping patterns. Now, leaders can't run on fumes. We know that. We need to be replenishing ourselves and building our own capacity. And we do that through regular exercise, and we do that through having a good sleep routine. Number 4, we want to have a good relationship with failure. Now, I ask this question on every single one of my podcasts. So if you want to understand strategies and how to deal with failure, go back and listen to some of our global experts, because there's a real consistency in the messaging around failure. Failure hits us all. We know that. But it's often the fear of failure that keeps us bound and static. So developing the environment for peak performance means we have to keep forging ahead. And that one of the key things that we must do is to develop a better and more productive relationship with fear and failure. And number five, the ability to focus on the process and not just the result. Any elite level athlete will tell you it's the process that that they focus on. Yes, they may have some visions around the outcomes about getting that gold medal up on the dais, but it's the process that will allow them to get to that stage. Now, the result will always be important, but developing the process for success is what will ultimately drive the result for you. So that's five areas that I want you to think about. Growth mindset, positive thinking, regular exercise and good sleep patterns, a good relationship with failure, and the ability to focus on the process and not the result. So those five areas are the five that I want you to lean into this week. Do you have the internal environment for peak performance? And what can you do to improve that to achieve the peak performance that you need as a leader? We now live stream our Monday mentoring sessions from the Tony Curl YouTube channel. If you aren't a subscriber, please check on in and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in to Monday Mentoring. I shall see you all again next week. Bye for now.